Thank you all for coming. Sorry for technical problems and for a little bit delay. Let me quickly introduce myself. I run the company based in Moscow, Russia, and we're doing computer forensics, developing the software to extract and decrypt the data from various devices, including the smartphones, and for the last several years, extracting the data from different clouds, including Apple iCloud and Google accounts. Before I start, can I know how many of you are using the iPhones? Can I hands up? Not so many. You prefer Android, right? And from those who use iPhone, are you using iCloud? I think you do. And what about two-factor authentication? Yeah, that's good. Okay, we'll talk about iCloud a little bit and some security problems there. About two-factor authentication, how to set it up and what are the problems there. And how the user's passwords and credit card data is stored in the iCloud. Briefly, what inside the smartphone, I'm sure you know that everything is inside there. I'm using now my iPhone probably more than my desktop computer. Everything is in there. My mail, the website also can connect through RDP to my office computer. And there's actually quite a lot. Even the documents I work with, and they're synced across different devices between the iPhone, between iPad, and between my Mac. Speaking of computer forensics, there are different methods to extract the data from the smartphone when performing the investigation. The most common method that was used before the iPhone for many other devices, mostly Android ones, is the chip off. When you remove the memory chip from the device, insert it into a special hardware, read the complete memory, and that's it. You get everything. For the iPhones, it doesn't work because everything is encrypted there, starting from iPhone 4, and there is almost no way to decrypt. Then there is a physical acquisition, which also performs the exact copy of the memory, but it's also nowadays is hard to perform and has quite a lot of limitations, especially starting from iPhone 4S, even though it is quite low. There is a logical acquisition. Logical acquisition is in fact just creating the backup of the iPhone. I should say that iOS operating system has probably the best backup across all the systems. It creates an exact copy of the device, well, almost exact. And if you manage to lose or break your iPhone, you just restore from the backup and get everything in the same state as you had before. And there is also a cloud acquisition. And cloud acquisition, as we'll show, allows to get almost the same data as with logical acquisition, and sometimes even more. There are also some problems with the cloud acquisition. Obviously, you will need to have the credentials, the password, user ID, which is Apple ID, and the password. And if the account is protected with two-factor authentication, then you also need to have the second factor. And speaking of the user's passwords and credit card number, that's not enough. Even that information, that protected it's longer. And you probably remember the selfie that happened in 2014 in September when over 100 accounts of celebrities like actresses and singers were leaked. And at that time, Apple already had not exactly two-factor authentication. At that time, it was two-step verification for protecting the Apple account, but two-step verification didn't protect the cloud backups, and that allowed hackers to just collect the Apple IDs and passwords, download iCloud backups, and get everything from there. Device backups complete, as I said, contain, as I said, quite a lot of data. But we're speaking not only about the device backups. Compared to, for example, Android, you know that Android also have backups, but there is almost nothing is there. And Android system mostly use the synchronization between the device and between the Google Cloud. But with the iCloud, we also have a syncing mechanism that now allows to sync photos, sync the mail, contacts, calendars, Safari data, which includes the browsing history, bookmarks and open text on all the devices. Starting with the iOS 10, we also have the health data synced into the iCloud. We have Wallet, which contains boarding passes, different discounts, cards, and so on. We have some Siri data also in the iCloud. And last but not least, we also have a keychain. There is in fact more data in the iCloud, but it's not really easy to extract. There is a document on Apple website describing what information can be provided to law enforcement agencies by request. And by analyzing that document, you can find out what data is there, so you cannot probably cannot see that on the device. That is, for example, the history of all your purchases, including ones in the real physical Apple stores if you provided your Apple ID. There are mail logs, there are communication logs related to FaceTime and messages, and customer service records, and of course there is a list of all devices that were ever connected to the same Apple ID. From the device itself, for example, from the iPhone, you can also get into the devices section under the Apple ID and can get a list of all the devices. And sometimes there are even all the devices that now connect to the different account, but they're still visible there. Speaking of the keychain, sorry, give me a second. Before I will tell about the iCloud keychain, I'll tell about the keychain itself. That's probably the most secure part of the operating system. That's the special storage that keeps the most critical information stored in the iPhone. That's all your passwords, to your mail accounts, to social networks, different encryption keys, the Google authentication tokens, and everything else. There is a keychain in the iOS operating system. There is a keychain in macOS. In macOS, there is a special utility called, obviously, Keychain that you can run and browse across through all the records and see what is stored there. In iOS, there is no way to see what is inside the keychain. And there is also an iCloud keychain, which is not actually a mirror of the keychain stored on the iOS or macOS device, but contains only part of the data, but still quite a lot. Compared the keychain stored in the iOS local device backup made with the iTunes and in the iCloud, we can find several differences. The passwords to Wi-Fi networks and to websites and credit card numbers, they exist in both keychains and then in the local keychain and the iCloud keychain. Speaking of the application-specific passwords and data, they are almost always there in the local keychain only and not copied into the iCloud keychain. As for encryption keys and tokens, it's about the same, that only in the local keychain and not copied into the iCloud. And autocomplete data, which also may contain some interesting data, is also not copied to the cloud. You may ask why do we need to access the synchronized information in the iCloud if we can download the complete device backup from the iCloud and get Keychain from there, because Keychain is a part of the device and it's also included in full backup. The thing is that speaking of the device backup stored in the iCloud, there all the data is encrypted, but the encryption keys are stored along with the data. Well, physically, backups are stored mostly in Amazon, on Google servers, on some other providers like AT&T, and encryption keys are stored only on Apple servers. However, if you have the login and password and factor authentication if needed, if you can download the data itself, you can also download the encryption keys and decrypt the code backup. But for the speaking of the keychain, which is a part of the device backup, it is encrypted the stronger way. It is encrypted with device-specific key, unique to every device, and even Apple doesn't have access to that part of the iCloud backup. Here is briefly what is inside the keychain. Doesn't matter is it the keychain from iOS device backup, from macOS, or from the iCloud. There are records for Wi-Fi access points, for passwords entered in the browser, and the credit card number. And the structure is simple, it's a simple XML file, but everything is in there. If of course, we are able to decrypt that data. Not all the records in the keychain are the same. Every record has the security attribute, which means when this record is available on the application running on the iOS. And some records are available only after first unlocking the phone, and some records have the attribute called this device only, which means that record should be always protected with the hardware key for this particular device. And also there is another attribute called attribute synchronizable. And if that attribute is set, then this record will be also mirrored, uploaded into the iCloud as a part of the iCloud chain. How to extract probably the easiest method to get the keychain is to get it from the local iTunes backup. But the thing is, there is a big difference between password protected iCloud or iTunes backups and backups without the password. If you create iTunes backup without the password, then all the records in the keychain are encrypted with the hardware key, and there is absolutely no way to decrypt them until you manage to perform the physical acquisition of the device and extract the encryption key, which is for 64-bit models of the iPhone starting from iPhone 4S isn't possible at all. But if you create a local iTunes backup with password, then most of the records are encrypted using the key derived from the password to that backup. But if the password to backup is not known, you obviously have to break it using the brute force or dictionary attack. And here is the history of how the password verification has been made in different versions. In iOS from 3 to 10, it was iterated with from 2,000 to 10,000 iterations. It's actually quite a lot. And even on the GPU, we can get several 100,000 passwords per second and can break 7 or 8 characters passwords. In iOS version 10.0, it was actually an epic fail from Apple. They kept the old password hash in backup, but they also kept in backup that very simple to break hash with only a single SHA-256 iteration. And the speed, even on the CPU, was billions of passwords per second. So virtually any password, it was possible to break in a very reasonable time. In iOS version 10.2, they fixed that and returned to previous method. And in in 10.1, and in 10.2 and in iOS 11, the password to local iTunes backup is extremely easy, hard to break. It now has 10 million iterations of SHA-256, and even on 8-core CPU, we can only check 3 to 5 passwords per second, and per minute, sorry. And with the fastest GPU available now on the market, we can get only 100 passwords per second. So that means that password to iTunes backup now isn't actually possible to break until that. It is very short, like 3 characters, or very simple and very common word. And there is no way to build a rainbow table because all the hashes are solved. Here is how Keychain looks in macOS. You can run an utility and see all the records, and by supplying the password to log into Mac, see the actual password. On iOS, if you go to accounts and password settings, that is screenshot from iOS 11, you can see the list of your accounts. You can enter into the passwords section, and you will only see the passwords to websites that are stored there, but you cannot even see the passwords to Wi-Fi networks. That simply, if the password is stored there, that only means that the device will be automatically connected to that network, but there is no way to see the password itself. How the data in the iCloud are protected? There is a document on the Apple knowledge base that describes in details, well, not in details, but at least the algorithms how the data is encrypted. And this is the difference between the usual iCloud data, which use IS with 128 key, and the Keychain is encrypted stronger with different keys. But as I already noted, the keys are stored along with the data, which means that if you have the proper credentials, you can get everything except just the keychain. If there is a two-factor authentication enabled on the account, starting with iOS 9, I think, then when someone is trying to access your account with Apple ID and password, then immediately the notification is being sent on all the trusted devices, asking, even showing the approximate location by address from where this access has been done. And the owner of the device should confirm that he allows to access the account, and after that the security code is shown that has to be entered in order to be able to access the account. Actually, for two-factor authentication, there is a workaround that allows to access the iCloud without Apple ID, without password, and without the second factor. That's an authentication token. If you are using the macOS, you probably also sync your account with the iCloud. There is a proper setting to have all your documents, notes, contacts, and anything else synced. And once you do that, you also have to pass the two-factor authentication by supplying the code just once. And after that, there is a special authentication token created on macOS. So every time you access the iCloud from your Mac computer, you don't need to enter the passwords again. And using that token taken from the Mac computer or Windows computer or even from another Apple device, it is still possible to access all the categories stored in the iCloud. As I told you, only after Celebrate in 2014, Apple has added the factor authentication protection to iCloud backups. But after that, the authentication tokens allow us to download iCloud backups for unlimited time. And only recently, I think just a couple of months before the iOS 11 release, Apple shortened the time to live of authentication token, and so now the tokens expire after 12 hours. You will be able to use that same token to access the iCloud accounts. All you can access with that token after 12 hours is synchronized data in the iCloud, which is still much. The pictures and videos stored in the iCloud photo library, the documents stored in the iCloud Drive, and some other data, but not iCloud because that's a good move. Here is how the login to the iCloud looks like if you use the factor authentication. That's it. You will get immediately on all the trusted devices the notification that you should press allow to enter, and IP address is also recorded, and you can see on the web who is accessing. Well, now let's get to the iCloud keychain. A cloud keychain is actually a really good idea if you are living in an Apple infrastructure and have several devices, like me. I have iPhone, iPads, Apple TV, MacBook for traveling, a Mac computer at home, and one extra device at work. So I don't have to enter my passwords on every device, and once I enter it in Safari browser on any of them, in just a few minutes, the password is synced across all the devices. Same for credit cards. Once I paid at least once from my home Mac computer, I can use the same credit card on all other devices, including the iPhone and iPad. To set up a chain, it's quite simple in iOS. And once you enable it, first let's go through the steps if your account is not protected to factor authentication. Actually, most people now are using 2FA because it's the obvious step to protect you from bad guys. But without the factor authentication, once you set up the iCloud keychain, you have to set up a thing called security code. And there are three different options. You can use a complex security code you create yourself. You can get advice from Apple, and then long and complex security code will be generated. You can use your device passcode if it is set as a security code, which is actually a bad idea. Or you can set up the iCloud keychain. Yeah.
Sir Vladimir, we would like to introduce you to the root code tradition. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay, now it's much better. The thing is, if you don't create the iCloud security code on that step, that means that your iCloud keychain won't be stored in the iCloud at all. That's a funny thing. Then it will be only synced directly across all your devices, but it won't be stored at Apple servers, and it also cannot be accessed by through agencies or whatever. If you do set the factor authentication, you'll have to confirm your code just once using your trusted phone number. And you'll also have to, if you set up the iCloud keychain on the other device, there is a new security question tab. You will have to enter the passcode of one of the other devices. So the encryption of the iCloud keychain is being done absolutely different for the cases when two-factor authentication is set and when it isn't set. You can simply choose the device and you can select across one of the devices you have, and you will need to enter the passcode of any of those devices. Also, in iOS 11, if you manage to install it already, you probably know that Apple now moves more aggressively to set up the factor authentication. There is a red sign that looks like an update is available or something is important, and it suggests to set up to it immediately, and it is a very good idea. Speaking technically, there are two ways to work with the iCloud Keychain. There is a sync mode, which is obviously, as the name says, for syncing all the records in the iCloud Keychain across all the devices. And there is a recovery mode. This is for the case if you cannot access your trusted device, but you still want to get all your passwords and get number back. There are different services running on the device that are responsible for those operations. The syncing working across the trusted circle. Trusted circle is actually a list of devices that are trusted and that already entered the iCloud Keychain. Some kind of description of how iCloud Keychain works is also available in the iOS security guide, describing both the methods of accessing it, well, not actually accessing it, but just in general how it works. Both the keychain syncing and what kind of encryption is being used there, and about the keychain recovery. Again, if there is no two-factor authentication enabled on the account, then to get your data back from the iCloud Keychain, you will need the iCloud security code, and if there is no iCloud security code and you lost access to all of your trusted devices, your data is gone forever. For two-factor authentication, it's simple. You only need to enter the passcode of one of the other devices. There is also a mention of some interesting thing called hardware security mode. And there is also a note that after 10 unsuccessful attempts, not really clear what kind of attempts, and from there, from internal or from external, the data security is wiped from the iCloud. I have no idea what is that really. Here's how the iCloud Keychain is being accessed into the recovery mode. Actually, it looks like it did similar to the iCloud itself. There is also a keyback with a storage of the encryption keys, and to be able to restore the data from the iCloud. If you lose all of your trusted devices, there is a so-called escrow service running on Apple, and all keychain items are encrypted with a strong AES algorithm, but every record is encrypted with its own key, and the keys are encrypted with another key stored in the keyback, and the keyback is stored for backup and recovery purposes at the escrow service. Again, about the iCloud security code, if it is set, then you not only have to supply that code to recover the keychain, you also have to enter the code that is sent to the trusted SMS number, not to the device, but only by SMS, which is actually not very secure. And iCloud security code is not stored anywhere in the iCloud, only it's cached. and it is stored in the escrow service I mentioned, and there are three possible choices to set the security code. So simple, which is 4 or 6 digits, complex, or device generated. And it's also a little bit of fun that if you select a device generated code, it is really quite long, digits and letters. Then it's not being hashed, and that security code is saved into the iCloud. Because probably Apple thinks that it is secure enough, and there is no need to make the hash of it. For every device that is in the trusted circle is, as I said, the list of devices that can access the keychain. The separate record is created in the escrow proxy to be able to recover the keychain using the passcode, or to enter to add a new device to the iCloud keychain by entering the passcode of any of those devices. And there is a records created for every of those devices, com.apple ICDP dot, and the device cache of the user ID of the device. Actually, the quality isn't good. I have to connect with another connection, not digital, but you'll be able to access the slides if you need them. And here is a bit on escrow proxy architecture. It is based on really secure remote password protocol, which is safe from man-in-the-middle attacks, whatever you do. And it doesn't need the password to be transferred over the network at all, only the hash of the password. So there is no way to intercept the password. And it's also with that protocol, password is not saved on the server at all. So now about the services running by the escrow proxy. There are two. There is a secure backup service which keeps keyback passwords for the keyback, where the keychain is stored completely for the full restore operation. And also there are records specific to all the devices with the device cache, and it keeps individual records from different devices, and they're stored for so-called partial recovery, when not all the records are stored at once, but only the given ones. I already mentioned that if the accounts with 2FA or without 2FA, the encryption is actually different how it works in the iCloud. The client, the device that uses the iCloud keychain, generates the random 25 character keyback key. Then that keyback key is securely hashed with the PDF with 12,000 iteration to generate the hash, or the iCloud security code is also hashed the same way. And that keyback key is encrypted with in AES and CBC mode, and using hash as the key, and then encrypted keyback key is stored in an escrow proxy. There is a kind of API functions to access the escrow proxy. They're of course not public and not described anywhere by Apple, but it is still it wasn't really hard to reverse engineer that. And they're intended for adding the new records to the iCloud keychain, getting the list of all the records available, to send the approval code to the devices and so on. There are also kind of public, so-called public records in the keychain that are encrypted, not so strong. For example, there is an interesting thing like a number of already failed retries accessing the iCloud keychain is stored there. And there's also a list of the keys for the keyback decryption and the list of the protected storage services. And also the device data, the model and version, and also the password strength on the every device. It is also stored in the XML. Here is also the scheme, the structure, how the SRP protocol works. It's version 6.1. Actually, never heard of previous one, and but it is. I think it was implemented in 2 versions before in iOS 9, and in iOS 10 it was improved, and the same for macOS versions. And by analyzing the Apple Secure Backup Record, if it exists, that means that the iCloud security code is set. And so if the iCloud security code is there, that means that the given account doesn't have the two-factor authentication enabled. And if there is no such record, then escrow proxy contains the home.apple.com.icdp and then the hash of the trusted devices. And that means that the iCloud keychain can be synced with that device. This, of course, it will be allowed to enter into the trusted server. Without two-factor authentication and with iCloud security code, there is enough to access the keychain to have just an MMG token. It's actually the same that was being used to accessing the iCloud backups and to accessing the other information stored into the iCloud. And validation code is being sent by SMS to trusted number. And generating the token is exactly the same as for other iCloud operations, for sync data for the library and so on. It's quite simple and it is now publicly available. And if the two-factor authentication is enabled and the device passcode is set, then there is a different kind of tokens called password equivalent token, and its time to live is very short, only 5 minutes, and it's being done for security reasons. And to access the token, absolutely different algorithm should be used. It's a JSA authentication that has been introduced in macOS 10.11, I think, and iOS 10. And as noted that token can be used only in the first 5 minutes after creation. Here briefly how iCloud keychain works in the sync mode. There is an SDK diamond working on the Apple device, whether it is iOS or macOS, and the list of services running there, taking care of the keyback and all the other things. And all the individual records called toms for some reason. Previously, Apple used the term toms for deleted, already deleted, but still existing in the iCloud records for deleted website history and some other deleted data. But now they use it just for the records in the iCloud machine. I guess it's not visible from there. But here you can see this kind of structure of the TOM record for the every record in the iCloud keychain and what kind of data is stored there. It's red key. The writing is performed using the RFC 6637. And to decrypt every record from the top and so get access to the data stored in the iCloud keychain, you first get the list of the toms from the Chrome Apple SDD diamond. Then you find all record IDs. Then you get a backup back password for the given record ID for every record ID using the passcode for the device. Then you unwrap the keyback key using the same RFC again. Then you decrypt the key from the keyback, and then using the key from the keyback, you decrypt the particular records from the keychain. So it's a kind of multi-layer protection, and we've never seen it, for example, in Apple iCloud backups or any other data stored in the iCloud. What are the other ways to access the data in the iCloud keychain? First, the GSA authentication needs to be implemented, and I haven't seen any software accessing the iCloud that already has the authentication methods implemented. Everyone uses a different address on the Apple website to authentication. Obviously, everything is different there. But using the GSA authentication, you get a different type of the token that still allows to access all the other data in the iCloud, such as iCloud backups, iCloud media library, the sync data, and files from the iCloud, right? But it also allows to access the data on the iCloud keychain. There is also another thing called NCF data. We were able to research it a little bit. The research is not completed yet. It's a special data stored on the device where we use MacOS for in our research. And once you add your Mac computer to the trusted circle, and so as I said, the different type of the token is stored on the computer. And obviously, every time when you reboot your computer, or after some time, obviously you don't have to enter your iCloud password or approve with the security code or approve with the passcode from the other device, but iCloud is still being synced. New data is uploaded there, and fresh data from the other devices is being downloaded, and it is being done using the other token stored in continuation token stored there on the device. And we're now doing our best to understand how the token is being stored, how it is encrypted, and using the token, it will be possible to access the iCloud keychain without the Apple ID, without password, without second factor, and without the password from other devices. So again, I was thinking about running the demo of the software to extract the iCloud keychain, but the net connection is really not good there. So I'll just briefly describe it. Again, if there is no two-factor authentication set, then to access the iCloud keychain, you need the Apple ID, the password, the iCloud security code, and even that is not enough. The SMS with another code will be sent to the trusted phone number. So without 2FA, it's actually harder to access the keychain. And if two-factor authentication is set, all you need is the Apple ID, password, and the passcode of one of the devices enrolled into the iCloud keychain. So which looks a little bit more easier. And also, it's important to know that if two-factor authentication is enabled, then the iCloud keychain is always stored in the iCloud, in the escrow service. If two-factor authentication is not enabled and the iCloud security code is not set, then the iCloud keychain is synced directly across the devices, and no third party, even theoretically, is able to access it. Looking into the iCloud keychain, we have found there is actually less records than in the local keychain. stored in the device. But still there is quite a lot. There are passwords too. This is actually a screenshot of my own iCloud keychain. There are no passwords there. They're all masked. But there are passwords to all Apple ID accounts I ever accessed from this device, and there are 5 or 6. There are passwords to websites. Let me know how many of them. It's about 400 for different services. And the last step actually also shows the authentication tokens to different accounts, for social network accounts such as Facebook and Twitter and so on. In most cases, the password to social network account is not stored in the keychain, but only token is stored there. But the token actually has more value than the password, because if, for example, the social network account is protected with two-factor authentication as well, there is no use of the password. You still don't have the second factor. But if you have the token, you can access the account without the second factor at all. Apple documentation actually says that the tokens shouldn't be synced with the iCloud keychain, but still we have found several tokens there. I think I have no time. I also wanted to show one little thing. There is a way to change the password to the iCloud account directly from the device without the knowledge or the current business. Okay, we'll show the video. It's also from. This is a video recorded from the device. We go to the Apple ID, we go to password and security, and you will see what happened there. Yeah, you press the change password, and there is no prompt for the old password there. You simply enter the new password there, and you are done. But that's only the case if two-factor authentication is enabled and if passcode is set on the device. Just a few seconds and the password is being changed. The bad things that actually don't end there with access to that menu item for the iCloud settings. You can also add your own trusted phone number here. And you can remove the old number that was there, and that way you changed the password to the iCloud account, and you changed the trusted phone number, and that's it. Now you have the full access to the account and also to the iCloud keychain. Yeah, that's it. Entering the new number and will be added to the account. I have no time, so we'll skip to mine. Just a couple of slides left. How that information about accessing the iCloud keychain is being used? Speaking of law enforcement people, for example, if they get a locked phone with the passcode set, but the passcode is known or has been obtained with any methods from court order to, say, rubber hose. And see iCloud uses two-factor authentication, and the password to the iCloud account is known, and iTunes backup is protected with a very strong password and running as 10.2 late, including OS 11, and there is no chance to break it, and no jailbreak is available. So the steps to receive all the passwords and authentication tokens and the credit card numbers, and so access to all the mails, Gmail, and whatever else, and to social networks and so on. What they do, they're changing the iCloud password. They sign out from the iCloud account that device has been connected to. They connect it to new fresh iCloud account. They enable the iCloud keychain, and the keychain is being synced. It's actually a long process, and it takes at least 2 or 3 hours to sync the complete keychain from the device to iCloud. And they easily get all the data from the keychain from the device. So the conclusion. Accessing the iCloud keychain is not really easy. You still need all the account credentials or second factor, and without the factor authentication, the iCloud security code and access to the trusted number to receive SMS. I wouldn't recommend to use all the two-step verification, which is now not supported by Apple, and there is no way to set it up on iOS 11. And the most safe configuration to prevent anyone from accessing your iCloud keychain is to set up it without second factor, without factor authentication, and without the iCloud security code. But that way you have the risk that your iCloud account and other data in the iCloud account will be accessed. Like iCloud backups, if you enable them, sync media, the documents, and so on. And sorry, a couple of things more. As I mentioned, the iCloud keychain contains more information than documented by Apple. It also includes some of the authentication tokens. And it will be a very good source to access the social network accounts. And another thing is when the iCloud keychain is being activated and enabled at the same time, exactly the same time when you enable the factor authentication, even if you don't enable the iCloud keychain itself by an option. And it also contains some data which shouldn't be there and is not described in any documentation that relates to iOS 11. And who knows, maybe, and we think we haven't reached it yet, but probably the firewall recovery code is also there in the iCloud keychain. Okay, that's it. Thank you.